You're set.
All set. I don't know what to say, dude. I'm scared.
So we're painting here. We got our oils. Got our oil paints. Joe got into Bob Ross, and he got the rest of us into Bob Ross. And he started painting. So we're like, hey, he's really cool. We're gonna copy him. And we got all this paint shit, and we do oil paints now. And we're gonna make a segment on the channel, I guess, of just us oil painting. The big inspiration is Bob Ross. We're not trying to copy him. We're just trying to film our painting, so don't fucking come at our necks. But Joe is gonna do a painting for you today. I'm gonna do a painting for you. Anthony's gonna do a painting for you. So we just hope you guys enjoy the video and just watch the magic of painting.
The waterfall. So I hope it comes out the way I want it to. But to start, take the big 2-inch brush. You tap it into a little bit of liquid white. Just a little bit. You don't want too much. And then you just evenly distribute it all throughout the canvas. You can start in the middle, it doesn't really matter. As long as every square inch is covered, all the corners and everything. Start out first by just making, the up and down strokes all the way down. Don't forget the very bottom and all the corners to ensure that it is spread evenly. Just do the same thing, but you go side to side, all the way across, all the way down. Always put on too little, but if you put on too much, it's really hard to deal with. So always start off with the least amount possible, and if you need to add more, you can always add more. Alright, I think we're good. Just about ready to start. And as Bob Ross would say, the best part of painting is cleaning the brush. In odorless paint thinner, make sure it's odorless. Just brush off a few times. Get like a big tub or something to shake off all the excess into it. So yeah, just give it a few shakes. You just beat the devil out of it. I always give it a few dabs on the good old arm, make sure it's fully dry, and that takes care of that. And for the sky, we're going to go into a little bit of phthalo blue. You just pull it out and tap the bristles into it, both sides of the brush. Make sure it's evenly distributed. Alright. Always start at the corner and work your way across and down. That way it's darker up the top and lighter as you get towards the horizon. And make little X strokes like this. Same thing with the liquid white. Always put on the least amount of paint first, and you can always add more if you need to. Add some more of that. And you don't want to bring your sky down too far, but you also don't want it to be too far up. So I think right there's a good length for it. And then to get all the brush strokes out of it, you just go back and forth over the whole sky, like that. And that's how you make a sky. Add some more phthalo blue to the brush for the water. I want this to be a little bit darker than the sky, so I'm going to add more paint. And to make water, you can either start at the top or the bottom, it doesn't really matter. But you start from the side and you pull in about halfway. So I'm going to start at the top today. And you do the exact same thing on the other side. Let's add some more paint. Alright. And then to get the water spread out, you just, same thing as the sky, you just go completely across it as evenly as possible. Very lightly. And for this one, as I said, I'm making a waterfall. I'm going to have the very bottom covered. And that's about it for the water. Wash the brush again. Alright, we're going to add some clouds to the sky. You can either use a fan brush or the 1-inch brush. I personally am a fan of the 1-inch brush. You just pull it through your titanium white. Clouds require a lot of paint, so don't be afraid to put quite a hefty amount on. And you just go up to the sky anywhere where you want them. And you just make little circles in every direction, every which way. So we're going to start one right up here. And make little circles like that. The thing
That's
about
really funky looking. I like that cloud.
The thing about clouds is they don't have any defined shape, so you can really make it look any way you want. You don't have to worry about it looking bad or anything, because all clouds are different sizes and shape. So you don't even have to worry about it. You can just do it as you please. Alright, there's some big clouds.
I like those clouds.
Alright, fluffing the clouds. Give this one more washing. Sweet. You take the corner of your brush. You can really use either one, but you use the 2-inch because it's bigger. And you don't want to touch the top of the clouds. You always just want to do it around the bottom. Very lightly, hardly any pressure. You just do little circles, little tiny circles around the base of the clouds. Do it to all of them you have. That sort of takes out all the big heavy clumps, and it sort of fades them away. As you probably look at clouds in the sky, you realize they're very distant. And then after you're done doing that, very lightly, to fluff it, you just start at the bottom and you just slide up very lightly, very lightly. And that's about it for that. All right. I think it's mountain time. We're gonna take some brown, black, some crimson, all in about equal proportions. Maybe some Prussian blue because it's dark. And then you just mix it nice and good, a nice dark color. Pull the paint out as flat as possible and cut through it. Get a little roll of paint on the knife. Then you got to decide where you want it. So we're going to put it right here. mix it again, get another roll. Scrape off as much of the paint in the mountain as possible. It's the least amount of paint you have on here, the easier it is for adding highlights and stuff. Alright, that's that. And we're going to use the 1-inch brush. Then you follow the angle of your mountain and you just pull it. Alright, that's about it for that part. And that's how you get your mountain shape. Now for the hard part, adding the highlights and the shadow to the mountain. For the highlight, you just want pure white, which I'm kind of out of. I have white and blue left, that'll be for the shadow. White for this part. Same thing, you just pull the paint out flat, cut off a little, roll on the knife for the highlights, and with no pressure at all, you just put it up to the top corner of the mountain and just lightly glide your hand down. And you just do that to all of them, all the peaks of the mountain. Now the key to doing this is having the slightest touch possible. Like the knife should barely even be touching the canvas when you do this. Alright, almost done with this part. Over here.
Those are looking good.
Yeah, this is going better than I thought. Still have difficulty with this. It's a hard technique to get used to. I think that's pretty good for now. I'll touch up if I need to later, but that's how it's done for that part. And for all the dark spaces you see over here, boom, 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 you just do the same thing that you did there, but you want to have a shadow color. So you want the titanium white and the phthalo blue mixed together. But you want the least amount of blue possible because the blue is really strong. Maybe just a little more in that. If you add too much blue, it'll really ruin your painting. So you don't want it to be too dark. You also don't want it to be too light. That looks like a good color. This part can be difficult too, because there's a lot of small areas. That's a good color. Really touching. Really want to be careful in the very tight areas like that. There we go. It's always smart to, when you're up here painting, you're always so close to the canvas. The smart thing to do is to take a step back, a few steps back, and look at your painting from far away. The perspective, it'll help you see what you need to add, you know, what doesn't look right. Because it's hard to notice every detail when you're up so close to it. So just take a step back every now and then. Almost done here. Alright, I think that's about it for the mountain. And to get rid of all the areas at the very bottom of it, you can always take a brush, hold it, make sure it's bristles or long ways, and you just lightly tap the bottom to create mist. And then, after that mist, you just lightly, very lightly, pull that misty area up, following the angles into your mountain. So when you're pulling up, you don't want to pull it straight up, because the mountain is at an angle. So when you pull it up, you want to follow the angle. It's kind of like making a backwards J. Ooh, mountain's done. A little bit of black. Phthalo blue. Prussian blue. Prussian blue is the darker blue. Maybe some crimson. And we'll add some brown to that. And throw in some green as well. Some sap green. Really, you're just looking for a dark color. Pretty good amount of paint on the brush too. And for this, you just tap down. And at the very top, if you have a gentle enough touch, pull up, straight up on the very top of the foothill. And when you're done with it, it'll look like distant trees once your painting's complete. Alright, and then take a clean brush. I believe this is clean, yeah. And get rid of the bottom. You want the bottom to be misty, so just tap out the bottom. fill this area in. And add some more paint. Alright, that's about it for the foothills, I think. Don't forget to tap out the bottom. Alright, start tapping shit in. Want the brush to be up. We're going to turn that into reflections by grabbing a 2-inch brush, make sure it's dry, and you just pull straight down. There you go. Alright, going to add some highlight color to that. Alex pointed out a good thing. Whenever you make your reflections after you pull down, use the brush and go side to side over it. It gives a little wavy effect, which really makes your reflections stand out. Okay. Now when you make reflections, or not reflections, when you make the highlight color, there we go. When you make the highlight color, as you notice, there's really thick areas of paint here. And the rule is a thin paint will stick to a thick paint. So to get highlights to stick on your bushes, you just mix whatever color you want for the highlights. So for that, I'm going to add some yellow, some cad yellow, a little bit of Prussian blue to give it like a greenish color. And then when you're done making the color, you dip your brush into a little bit of liquid white. Not too much though, just a little. And go ahead and mix your color together. And if done correctly, when you go to put your highlights on, the paint should just come right off the brush. So let's see. There we go. And to change the color up, color of the highlights, just add another color of paint. So to that, I think we're going to add a little tiny bit of crimson into it. Gives it sort of like a little orangish color to it. And then to reflect these bushes into the water, you just take the same brush with the paint on it, and you just pull that down. And that's how you reflect your colored bushes. Alright, that's that's it for the grass.
Nice.
We're just gonna add a water line to the bushes, and I found it easiest to make it with liquid white because liquid white is very smooth. So just pull out a little bit, put it on your palette, swirl it around. There you go, and just pull a very small cut through it. And you just add these little watermarks underneath to give it the effect that that's water brushing up into the bank, I guess you would call it. Yeah, that's exactly what it needed.
That looks really good.
All right.
That water line.
Yeah. All right, so next, the waterfall. And for this, you want a dark color on your 2-inch brush, so I just say Prussian blue and phthalo blue together. Just really, really dark color. Could actually be a bit darker, so I'm going to add some more Prussian blue to the brush. All right, that's step 1. Step 2. Take your fan brush. You mix titanium white and liquid white together. You start from the side, you move it over, and you just pull right down. Use a little bit more liquid white. There's that. Pull this top part out. There you go. Alright, now this is the part I was scared about, was making the clips. Moment of truth, because I have no idea how it's going to look. This is literally first time doing this. Alright, it's actually a lot better than I expected. This should be good because you have to add highlight to the cliff, so I think this should be all right. I have no idea how to even attempt to make a highlight on a cliff, but there you go. Having that white on there and having the brown come through makes it look like sludge, if you will. That's the only word I can think of that properly describes what you want it to look like. Shit. All right. Maybe I put a bit too much paint on the brush that time, or on the knife, but that's okay. When you're painting a picture and you know, something doesn't really look the way you want it to, smart thing to do would be, you know, just look at it and find some way to think that it looks good. You know, so if you're painting a picture and what you're trying to do isn't working right, and you just get frustrated, then you're kind of defeating the whole purpose of painting, really. So whenever you're making your painting, always just, you know, tell yourself that what you're doing looks good. You see, I added way too much on that, but I saw what I did wrong and made that one, and very, very happy with it. All right. And then, for one final finishing touch, you get some liquid white and titanium white on the fan brush. There we go. Some liquid white, some titanium white on the fan brush. And as you know, at the bottom of any waterfall, the way the water falls down, you know, it creates splashes. So just add some liquid white and titanium white on the fan brush and just tap around the bottom, make some ruffled areas. And I think that's about it.
That looks really damn good.
First waterfall ever made.